Keep away from the DVD, Blu-ray and ticket update with a funny eye. Take 2, edited copy. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. Welcome to another DVD and Blu-ray update. I'm having to retake this because the original recording ran too long, and unfortunately the iPhone is a bit shit because once you record like over 40 minutes it won't actually convert the footage, so I'm having to re-record it, and I'm going to try and rush through it as quickly as possible. So we'll start off with the ticket, and this isn't really a ticket, it's actually a programme, and this is for The Woman in Black. I went to see this back in August. I've never seen the film, which, yeah, I know. I believe the stage play came out first, and it's because I didn't get any, like, because it was, you know, contactless, I didn't actually get any proper tickets, so instead I've just got the programme, and it's generally great. It's a complete subversion of what you're expecting, because, you know, it plays more like a dark comedy than like a proper sort of like scary sort of horror thing. But I definitely would say, like, if it comes to like your local area, definitely watch it. It's definitely brilliant. So now we move on to the DVDs. The first DVD, these are all TV shows, by the way. First one is The Day Today. So this was the first TV show done by Chris Morris. If you're like a pretentious fuck like I am, you know, you're probably already familiar with Chris Morris's work. Recently I've been, you know, watching more of his... I need to watch more of his stuff, like I need to watch Nathan Barley and Jam and stuff like that. This is a parody of news programmes, and was the only TV show he did for the BBC. And it's surprisingly, although a lot of the reference points have dated, kind of the general format and the way it sort of like takes down news is still surprisingly quite relevant even to this day. But yeah, this also, interestingly enough, was the TV debut of Alan Partridge, who was a radio character prior. And then a few months later he did Know Me, Knowing You with Alan Partridge. But yeah, great series, and a great series, very, very funny, but you kind of have to understand the reference points, you know, to get a lot of the humour. But, you know, it's just really, really funny. Definitely recommend this. It only lasted for one series, and I don't think they were going to do a second. I don't think it would have worked with a second series, because I think the humour probably would have wore thin. So it kind of, a lot of Chris Morris's stuff doesn't seem to last beyond a single series. Like, I think, like, there was only one series of Nathan Barley, there was only one series of Jan and stuff. Next one is another Chris Morris show, and it is Brassai. This is a parody of, you know, Panorama and stuff like that, and the media, and it's and this I actually think is slightly better than The Day Today. It's the first show he did for Channel 4, which he did pretty much all his late stuff for Channel 4. And yeah, it's genuinely fantastic. This they've not labelled it, but it does. This includes both the entire original series and the special, which was called Pedogeddon, which was about the media sort of sensationalisation and fear-mongering around paedophiles, which surprisingly is a lot more relevant today than it was back in 2001, because, you know, obviously, like the death of Jimmy Savile and, you know, the Me Too movement and U-Tree and stuff like that. Yeah, here's the disc. Sadly, not all the episodes were uncut. Like, I think in the final episode, there was a subliminal message saying, like, Grade is a cunt, because he was really annoyed that Michael Grade you know, the guy who killed Doctor Who back in the day, basically, you know, wanted him to, like, this is too offensive, this is too much, change this, change that, so on. The subliminal message is not in this version, and likewise in the drugs episode, one of the things that Chris Moss did was he got like actual celebrities and stuff, you know, to basically say this utter rubbish that he basically wrote, and he got a politician, you know, to talk about a drug that doesn't exist. And when the politician found out about it, he got really annoyed. That's actually a lot of Bassam was really controversial. You know, the Peter Gunn special was the most complained about thing in television history at the time, or the most complained about thing on Channel 4 at that time. And I believe the bit with the politician was removed from this version, which it's a shame it's not uncut, but I suppose it's better than nothing. Next one is a Doctor Who DVD, and it is the Evil The Daleks. This is the most recent animated one they've done. I've not seen the animated version, but the animation doesn't look too bad. I've replaced this is replacing my loose cannon reconstruction, which I made over a year ago now. I've swapped the cases over. Packaging design wise, the reconstruction covers are much better than these animated ones, because the animated ones look a bit shit. But yeah, great story, although not as good as Power of the Daleks, which was the first Patrick Troughton story. Episode 2 of this survives, and for some reason on the restoration on episode 2 on this version, they didn't apply the vidifier process, so as a result it kind of doesn't have that soap opera effect, you know, that it should have, because they originally did it on videotape. The version on the Lost in Time set does have the vidifier processing, so as a result I'm going to have to get out the Lost in Time version, you know, to watch episode 2, which is a real piss take if you ask me. Anyway, this is this by the way is the reversible artwork. This is the artwork it originally came with. Next DVD set is the complete collection of Beavers and Butthead. I've been wanting to watch Beavers and Butthead for some time. This, despite what the cover says, is not the complete series. This is the Mike Judge collection, which is where Mike Judge would select his, you know, personal favourite segments. Because the way Beavis and Butthead was structured was you'd have like a cartoon, you know, with the narrative stuff, and then you'd have Beavis and Butthead taking the piss out of music videos, and the music video segments, of course, cause a lot of copyright issues, you know, when it comes to releasing the whole series. So as a result, this doesn't include. It has some of the music video segments, but not all of them. Likewise, it doesn't have all the cartoons, and they're not in their original structure. I've never seen Beavis and Butthead prior. I've seen Daria, which was the spin-off series, which I actually quite enjoy. Mainly because they don't repeat this that often, and you know, obviously it was very hard to get the DVDs and stuff. So when this came out, I bought it. Well, not bought it straight as soon as it came out, because this came out months ago. But anyway, here we have this case 1, which is volumes 1 and 2. So here's volume 1. And the first 2 discs would have the cartoons on them, and then the third disc would have the music videos. 1, 2, and 3. Volume 2. 1, 2, 3. And then the next case is volumes 3 and 4. This includes volume 3 of the Mike Judge collection, volume 4, which is the complete series of season 8, I think, which is the most recent season they did, and the film Beavis and Butthead Do America. Here's volume 3. Volume 4, which is season 8, obviously, and Beavis and Butthead Do America. I've not seen Beavis and Butthead Do America yet, but I've heard it's great, so I'm going to enjoy watching that. So now we move on to the Blu-rays, and first Blu-ray is Psycho 2. Of course, a sequel to one of the most influential films ever made. When you look at it, you know, from face value, it does look pretty shit. You know, a bit like a cynical cash grab, because it's a sequel to one of the most influential horror films of all time, and of course, Alfred Hitchcock had nothing to do with it. Not to mention, it came out decades later. But this is actually a really, really great film. It has a cult following, which it well and truly deserves. I actually do think this is slightly better than the original Psycho. I think it's just the characters are better. You know, they've got more development to them. There's a lot more suspense as well. But yeah, give it a go. Here's the disc, and inside we have the reversible artwork, which is what it came with. And then we just have a card advertising other Arrow releases, in particular Schlock, which was the first film directed by John Landis. Next up is Blood Simple, which was the first film by the Coen brothers. I've seen quite a few of the Coen brothers films. This one I think is actually a really good film. To be honest, there's other Coen brothers films I prefer, like No Country for Old Men, Barton Fink, Big Lebowski, but this is a really good film. Definitely recommend this. And also, interesting enough, this is the director's cut version, and apparently it's actually slightly shorter than the theatrical cut, which is interesting. Next one is Fight Club, which I think every single kind of film fan, you know, in their 20s in some sort of has a phase with Fight Club where it's like one of their favourite films of all time and stuff like that. I've not gotten to that stage just yet, but it's a really, really good film. The only other David Fincher film I've seen is Seven, which I do not like at all. It has a good premise, but it's just boring, and I just didn't like the twist either. But this is much better. It's a much better film. Here's the disc. Next two Blu-rays are a couple of Stanley Kubrick films from Kubrick's sort of early filmography. First one is The Killing and Killer's Kiss, which was The Killing was Kubrick's first film, and I know it was like Quentin Tarantino's favourite Kubrick film. In fact, he basically kind of ripped it off when he did Reservoir Dogs. I've seen both The Killing and Killer's Kiss. The Killing I think is a good film, but it's not great. I need to watch it again though. And The Killer's Kiss was his second feature film, and you can kind of tell, you know, he was kind of having problems, you know, trying to find his style, because it was a bit too style over substance, and it was quite boring despite being just over an hour long. But yeah, here's the disc with The Killing and Killer's Kiss written on it, which you don't get on the box, and the inside artwork, which is the reversible artwork which it came with. And then we just have an advert for a couple of other Arrow releases. So this is an Arrow Academy release. This is the first Arrow Academy release I ever got. Most of my Arrow stuff is Arrow Video. And then the next Kubrick film is Paths of Glory, which is a great anti-war film. It's easily Kubrick's first masterpiece in my opinion. Saying that, I've not seen all his films. I need to watch Spartacus and Fear and Desire. Those are the only ones I've not seen. But this is easily one of his best. When people say like Kubrick doesn't do like human stories or his films aren't emotional, watch this film. This film definitely is kind of a human story, and it is just a great anti-war film with a great message, and really bleak as well. You know, it's not a happy film at all, but definitely a great film. Here we have the disc and a little booklet, which you kind of got with a lot of Master of the Cinema titles. So yeah, definitely recommend Paths of Glory. from the HMV Premium Collection, and it is Alfred Hitchcock's To Catch a Thief. This is the second collaboration with Cary Grant I've seen, and the final one with Grace Kelly I needed to watch. It's a good film, but you can kind of tell it's one of Hitchcock's weaker efforts, but still an enjoyable watch. But I would definitely say, like, if you're going to start getting into Hitchcock films, leave this one till later. Watch some of his like more famous stuff, like Vertigo, North by Northwest, Rear Window, and so on. Anyway, here's the disc. And here are some art cards. And poster. So yeah. Next Blu-ray is of course also from the Premium Collection. It is an essential classic which I hadn't seen up till this point, and it is the original King Kong. Of course, influential film and incredibly groundbreaking for its time in terms of its visual effects. In fact, actually, this was an inspiration for a lot of filmmakers, including Peter Jackson, who would, of course, later go on and remake it. But yeah, this is a really good film. The second half, like when Kong comes in and stuff, when they get to Skull Island, is much, much better than the first half, which is a bit... It's alright, but it's not great, you know. And yeah, it is a bit sexist, a little bit racist as well, but you know, it's a product of its time. The visual effects, I won't call them stunning by today's standards, but you know, they are still kind of fantastic, and they kind of have like a soul to them that you don't really get with CGI. Because, you know, kind of with this stuff, you can kind of like see like the craftsman's, you know, fingers throughout the whole thing. Here's the disc, the Blu-ray disc, DVD disc. That's how they will get the iconic image. Here we have a booklet with like production notes and so on. Next one is the McCallywood Super Action Collection with Euchre, Captain Alex and Bad Black. This finally arrived about 3 days after I'd recorded the previous update, so it took about 9 weeks to get here, but they didn't tell me like it was dispatched or anything, so I thought, you know, they were being lazy or because they were taking forever, you know, to get the damn thing dispatched. So... But I'm glad it arrived, and if you are going to order this, please be aware that you're going to have to wait about 9 weeks, and don't expect an email saying it's been dispatched, despite what they claim. But yeah, these, if you're not aware of what these films are, they were done by a guy called Abwana Isaac Godfrey Jeffrey, who did these films in Indonesia, in an Indonesian slum. He just really, really loved, like, Hollywood action films, you know, when they'd come over to Uganda. So what he did was he essentially, I mean, they were very amateur films, you know, because obviously they were done on a very, very low budget. You know, Captain Alex was estimated to cost around $200 to make, and you know, he bought the video camera they used to film it on, you know, by selling everything he owned, and also bricks he made. He made his own computer and stuff. And he used to ship it out, you know, to people in Uganda. You know, this was because they didn't even have internet at that point. But yeah, Captain Alex is this. It goes beyond bad cinema, you know, because you know you've got those so bad it's good movies, you know, like The Room and Birdemic and stuff. But this kind of goes beyond that because it, you know, the fact that he didn't have a budget, you know, he didn't have any of the resources and stuff. He just wanted to make a really, really kick-ass film, and he largely succeeded. You know, and you know, this, I'm going to sound sacrilege, but this is true cinema. You know, the passion, the raw passion behind it, which you don't really get in the Hollywood system. And also, Brian Isaac IGG, as he's more commonly referred to as, I have great respect for him as a director and kind of as a person, because he had like integrity and stuff, and he, you know, and the type of films he was doing, and you know what he was doing, and you know how he responded and stuff. Because I mean, like, so bad it's good directors or directors who have that reputation. You know, they're usually kind of a mixed bag. You know, Tommy was he's interesting. You know, especially if you've read The Disaster Artist, but you know, he's not a particularly nice, good person from what I understand. He's a bit of a knob, and you know, he would change his story and lie. You know, which is probably the reason why a lot of people believe he's a criminal and the film was a money laundering scheme, which I partially believe but also partially don't believe. And you know, Derek Savage can go and fuck himself, but Brian Isaac, Godfrey Jeffrey, he's definitely a great figure. The Blu-ray, which both films are shot in SD, so there's not really any benefit to having them on Blu-ray, but it was nice to have them on Blu-ray anyway. So this includes Who Killed Captain Alex and Bad Black. Bad Black, surprisingly, was produced on a lower budget, and yet it's a better made film. You know, like the shots are better. You know, there's less like stuff on the camera. You know, and it's just like a better written film and stuff. And it's a great film, Bad Black. Definitely worth watching. And Captain Alex is great as well, but not as good. You can watch them both on YouTube. You know, you can legally watch them on YouTube for free. There's DVD copy and some reversible artwork. But if you want to throw like some money into this sort of hat, then definitely pick up the Blu-ray. And they actually do some really kind of nice stuff with this set, because when I got it, you know, you don't just get the Blu-ray and stuff, which, you know, would have been nice, but we've just got a signed photo right here, stay in school, and the Dodge sticker right there. So you get that photo, a fridge magnet, and a couple of stickers. So yeah, definitely worth it. If you're going to order this, if you're from the UK, I don't know if it works differently in the US, but in the UK, expect to wait about 9 weeks for it to arrive, and don't expect an email telling you it's been dispatched, despite what they claim. You know, if because in the automated email, confirmation emails, they said they're going to get it dispatched as soon as possible, and we'll tell you when it's ready, but they didn't, so I thought, you know, they hadn't sent it, or, you know, they, you know, weren't getting the order ready and stuff. But yeah, and it's also a great set as well. Definitely worth checking out. Next one is the Evil Dead trilogy. Sort of like horror comedy sort of stuff from the early 80s, and very, I don't want to say influential, because I say influential quite a lot in this video, but you know, really enjoyable stuff. Directed by Sam Raimi. I believe Evil Dead was Sam Raimi's first film. You know, sort of when he was doing sort of like this stuff, and of course he would later do the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man films. It's a bit like Peter Jackson in a way, but Sam Raimi started directing before Peter Jackson. So yeah, here we have the discs with the first Evil Dead, which is the only one I've seen. Really good film, this. Recommended for sure if you're into like horror, and if you're into like horror comedy, like dark stuff, you know, it's really entertaining. It's one of those films where, I mean, it's not like a comedy from the start. You know, at the start it does feel like a proper sort of serious horror film, or like a B movie or something. Then it kind of became a comedy as it continued, and it's just great fun. And of course was notorious in the UK because it was banned for many years, and on video you could only get a cut version for a long time. although surprisingly it was never prosecuted under the Obscene Publications Act, so it technically wasn't a video nasty, but for some reason like these tabloids and stuff were convinced it was one. Evil Dead 2, which I've not seen yet, but I've heard is supposed to be fantastic, and actually is supposed to be better than the first film. Bizarrely, despite how gory I've heard Evil Dead 2 is supposed to be, it's only a 15. I believe it was an 18 at one point originally, but then they recently, a couple of years ago, they knocked it down to 15. And then we have Army of Darkness, or the medieval Evil Dead. I've not heard that much about this film, but you know, it'd be worth a watch. I think this is the theatrical version because there's quite a few different cuts of Army of Darkness. So yeah, I believe it does have. It says on the back it's got an alternate ending for Army of Darkness, but I'm honestly not sure what ending is, and also what ending's on the film itself, whether or not it's the apocalypse ending or the supermarket ending or whatever. And the final set is the Hannibal Lecter trilogy, so this includes Red Dragon, Silence of the Lambs and Hannibal. This is not all the Hannibal Lecter films, because there was one which came out later on called Hannibal Rising, which I know doesn't feature Anthony Hopkins, and there was also another film called Manhunter, which came out in the 80s before Silence of the Lambs and was adapted from the Red Dragon novel by Thomas Harris. But that doesn't feature Anthony Hopkins. So, and also the set's in you know, the order that the books were set, not in the order of release. So, first off we have Red Dragon, which I've heard is okay, but not great. The film I have seen, Silence of the Lambs, great film this. Definitely my favourite of the Best Picture winners, that along with Rocky, and maybe One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. It's bizarre because I mean it's like a sort of like medium budget sort of like crime thriller horror film, which is the type of film you wouldn't expect to win Best Picture, but it did. But yeah, definitely a great film, definitely worth a watch. And then we have Hannibal, which I've heard is complete shit. Directed by Ridley Scott. I've only seen a couple of Ridley Scott films. I think my favourite ones are probably Thelma and Louise and Blade Runner. I don't particularly like Alien. But yeah, Hannibal, which I should give it a watch eventually. Right, so that is it. That is everything. Till next time, goodbye. Probably shouldn't have mentioned Fight Club, should I? Because I've broken the first 2 rules. Hopefully, they won't catch me. But if they... Great. Just great.